Hi, welcome back to the foundation course on communication and soft skills. So we are in the process of understanding what writing skills is all about and how do we make an effective writer in ourselves. So in the previous session, we really have highlighted, facts on how to be effective writer. What is that you have to keep focused on? Things such as two W questions, that is who and what. Uh, each time when you're planning to write a text or write a draft, these two questions should pop up to your mind, and this can help you build clarity and make your writing effective. So let's move on to understand what in general writing skill is all about. Let's get introduced again to this particular skill and master it. So writing skills help the learner gain independence, comprehensibility, fluency and creativity in writing. That is, it is important as a writer that I mention and I maintain comprehension in the written text, so that the reader who is reading at his or her end will not have any difficulty in terms of getting the information of what the writer is trying to convey. Well, understand the fact, this is one point to always remember by when you are a writer or when you are getting into the mode of writing, that in all possibilities your written communication can, or that matter spoken communication too, can be misinterpreted. So when I say misinterpreted, it means it could be understood differently by different people. We all have different perception level as human beings, and we do not carry the same feelings and thoughts like what everyone would follow. So be it in the house as well, maybe your brother or sister could have different feeling and thought about maybe the weather or maybe the situation at the moment, but you might carry a different opinion altogether. So there's all possibility of getting the information misinterpreted. So ensure that you maintain absolute clarity in order to get your information out, the message out, what you want to convey, and not being held back by having different assumptions by readers, or maybe being discriminated by readers, stating that the writer is not up to the certain remarks, and just making things chaotic, and the consequences could be dire. That is, your writing can be totally stopped. Your writing will not be accepted only because somebody has misinterpreted the text or the piece of information. Moving on to understand, well, in general definition, writing skills are specific abilities which help writers to put their thoughts into words in a meaning form and mentally interact with the message. Let's look at the slide to better understand this, so that you can get the idea about what we are trying to convey. So I want the camera to focus on the slide that I am trying to display here. So writing skills are specific abilities which help writers to put their thoughts into words in a meaning form and to mentally interact with the message. So it's important that I follow these guidelines, these standards, in order to make my writing accepted, make my writing be believed and trusted by the readers. Now moving on, let's understand this in detail. So maybe you guys can look at me right now to get this more in a clearer understanding. So discussion, here are some writing goals that we all have to define. So writers are independent when they are able to write without much assistance. So you might look up to somebody's assistance, maybe to get your text proofread, or maybe to get certain text or draft to be edited. But however, you should be independent without much assistance to make your writing more believed and more accepted. Writers can gain comprehensibility when they can write so that it can be read and understood by themselves and others. Get this up? Writers are fluent when they are able to write smoothly and easily, as well as understandably. So this is the slide that we are going to focus and talk about it. Writers are fluent when they are able to write smoothly and easily. That is, the fluency in spoken communication skill has to do with the confidence, and the fluency in written communication skills have to be more towards how easily you use the language and how you make the language understandable to the reader. So keep this in mind. There are two different same word but two different contexts for spoken communication and written communication. And going on, writers gain creativity when they can write their own ideas, not copying what has already been written, so that they can be read and understood. Well, copying is an easy job and we end up getting thoughts. Well, it is not a bad idea to get thoughts from other text, books, journals, magazines, websites, newspapers, or maybe hearing a speech, and we can certainly take these thoughts to make the writing apt and tangible. But however, complete copying of an idea or a text isn't acceptable, because there is also a written writing law, which is plagiarism, where in case your text matches with the other's text or information, you might be held responsible and there could be a penalty, there could be lot of dire consequences. So see to that you might copy an idea certainly, but not completely basis on somebody else's information and thought that you can really draft this text of yours. So let's discuss in detail. Writers are independent when they are able to write without much assistance. Writers can gain comprehensibility when they can write so that it can be read and understood by themselves and others. Writers are fluent when they are able to write smoothly and easily as well as understandably. Writers gain creativity when they can write their own ideas, not copying what has been already written, so that they can be read and understood. Talking about it, kinds of writing skill. So comprehensibility skills for writing include understanding that writing is communicating messages or information. Fluency skill for writing include recognizing the linear sequence of sounds, mastering writing motions and letter shapes, recognizing the chunking of words. Let's understand this little bit in detail. So I want your attention on the board right now. Well, there's this word called chunking up and chunking down. So very important also for spoken communication. So chunking up is nothing but information which is complicated, which is complex, and as a writer or speaker, I decided to choose complexities to convey the message. Chunking down is to simplify the information given, is to make that attempt to be understood, to make it more understandable, more acceptable. As a speaker and writer, I can take a call to simplify the piece of information that I am trying to convey. So both are important. However, it is always necessary to chunk down the information rather than to chunk up the information, because we have already discussed the perception level of every human is different, the understanding capacity is different, and to sink in and interpret information as well, the skill varies, it differs. So it's important as a speaker, as a writer, that I believe to make all the attempts to make sound the text more acceptable by chunking down the information. To understand more, creativity skills for writing include the ability to write freely anything the learner wants to write. That is, your creativity is all about how differently and how completely in a different manner you like to present a text. And as a writer, you can take a call. You can certainly experiment with your writing to make it believe and sound creative. So maybe you might have this thought that the other writers have never tried or attempted, and if I like to try, yes, as a writer you can try and make it sound more creative, because this work was never attempted by the others and you are trying this for the first time. So creativity is all about trying it for the first time and getting success at it. Micro skills of writing, that is, use the correct form of words. Grammar has a different connotation every time. The choice of words, the word choice that you end up selecting might have a different meaning, and has a existence in English language differently. So be conscious of the fact what word you're selecting and how you're selecting it. So this means using forms that express the right tense or case or gender. Put words together in correct word order. Use vocabulary correctly. Use the style appropriately to the genre and audience. Make the main sentence constituents such as subject, verb and object clear to the reader. Make the sentence constituents, that is subject, verb, object. Let me make you all understand this. English sentence follows a word order rule. This is in the form of subject plus verb plus object. So S, V, O is the rule, and then we have the other languages which follow the rule of S, O, V, that is subject, verb, object, verb, which is different from English language. So it's important that I follow the rule book of my word order, which is subject, verb and object, in order to maintain absolute clarity in trying to convey what I want to convey. Let's look at the slide to understand few micro skills of writing. So moving on, put words together in correct word order, use vocabulary correctly, use the appropriate style, genre and audience, that is the tone of writing is important. In case you're writing formally, your formal context plays an important role. In case you're writing informally, your informal context plays complete absolute adherence to that particular text. Ensure that the main ideas distinct from supporting ideas or information make the text coherent. So it's important that your main idea has to lead in to form different ideas to not just connect with the main idea, but also to make it relevant. So once you have this main idea, see to that you have different ideas correlating to this main idea, and basis on this sub ideas you can have different paragraphs and make your writing sensible. So in order to make coherence, so this is the word which has been used and talked about. Let me explain you all about this word. At least in writing, you're supposed to maintain coherence, that is the relevance of what you're talking and what you're speaking. So in case coherence is not maintained, it is not accepted text, because you end up confusing the reader. So get this up. Moving on, we will also be focusing on other writing texts such as essay writing, or for that matter the writing process as well. So let's understand what a typical writing process would be based on. Well, it is based on these 6 steps, which is pre-writing think, that is you're supposed to think. Then you come to a drafting stage, that is you write. Then we have revising, that is proofreading, and proofreading again to be specific. Then we evaluate and we publish. So when we are writing, so let's understand this one by one in detail. So first one, pre-writing, that is the first stage is your planning stage, your organizing stage, where you think about a specific topic that you want to convey, you want to write, and this is the absolute important stage in writing, or to make your writing more accepted, to make your writing more be believed by the readers. So what goes in here, the more clearer your thoughts, the better writer you are. So believe in the fact that the better thinking process has been adopted. So the more better you adopt the thinking process and you have absolute clarity on what you want to write, is where you should move ahead for the other stages and steps. Understand, without pre-writing or thinking, the other stages would fail in every aspect, because nothing can go and make a sensible text without having an effective and excellent pre-writing. That is the first stage. Moving on to understand the second stage, that is the drafting stage, where you end up drafting, organizing your thoughts. So you basically organize your thoughts with the main idea that you selected, and with this main idea you will be leading with different ideas that you would be trying to convey through your writing. So in this stage maybe you can be focused on paragraphing, spacing, the arrangement of words, the choice of words, the selection of words to little bit, to larger extent, and it's a complete organization of your thoughts and your on your thinking. And then we have third stage, which is revising, make it better. That is, in this stage, let's understand this is a different stage from proofreading, though revising technically means to edit, proofread. Basically in revising we are just doing more like a superficial job of a proofreader. That is, we are basically looking more from a presentation of the text, that is how the paragraph is being aligned, how the ideas are being laid out in the paragraphs. Does your paragraph really follow 5 to 6 lines as a rule book, or how many paragraphs do you have in the text? So in case an essay writing task is being given to you to maybe write an essay of 100 and 250 words, and you are in a revising stage, ensure that you do a little bit of counting here to be doubly sure that you are not exceeding the words, neither you are being under count of the words. So revising is superficially you are just going ahead, reading and making text more in terms of the alignment and the presentation. Now let's understand proofreading. So proofreading as a stage is the most critical stage after planning and thinking. So if your planning and thinking is effective and your proofreading is effective, then yes, you are in a path to be a great writer. You are in the process to be accepted by different readers, because you have done these two stages very sensitively and critically to make, and you have made that all attempt to make the text be away from any non-discriminatory language, to be away from chunked up words, to be away from any confusion, and absolute clarity is what the agenda is while you are in the stage of proofreading. So basically words are proofread, that is word by word. Grammar is also checked, your vocabulary, your choice of words, the form of words, the spell errors, the punctuation errors are also captured at this stage. Evaluating, the next stage. Let's keep in mind that evaluation is the process that cannot be technically done by yourself, because writing as a skill always demands a second eye, a second attention. So it is always being suggested. Once you write and once you are thoroughly sure of your own revision, your proofreading stage, do consult an official editor in case you are presenting this officially, or in case you are just sending across to a person to a job interview, then maybe a person whom you look up to in language skills, you can consult that person and get the information that you have selected to write, to get it evaluated. So evaluation again is a critical stage. So basically my thinking stage went on good, my proofreading stage was also efficient and excellent. Now comes a stage where you cannot miss it out, that is, you cannot compromise on the quality of the person that you are consulting, or maybe how you are getting this evaluation done. So do consult somebody who is more efficient, effective, and who can help you give that right information, evaluate the text from different aspects of how the text has been written, how the text would be accepted. So there are a lot of paid evaluators in the market. There are evaluators who can do it just for the passion, or maybe you have to just get in touch with the right people to get the text out. Last stage, publishing, that is, how do I get the text published? Not necessarily every text should get published and be recognized. These days we all have the ability to start our own blogs where you just want your text to be available to be read by people with absolute clarity, with no payment towards your writing. Then you can just create your own blog and make your text available there. Likewise, for essay writing, job interviews, keep this in mind. Pre-writing stage is mandate, and your drafting stage is nothing but pre-writing stage only, especially when you're presenting a text during an interview, because there's a limited time which has been allocated, and you've been asked to do that in that limited time. So we might not be able to go through all these stages that we have discussed right now. Pre-writing, that is thinking, has to be done within a matter of few minutes. Mind map technique can help you to get your thinking process accurate. Drafting stage, that is part of your pre-thinking process only here. Then we have directly a proofreading stage. So we are skipping the stage of revising and drafting technically. After complete accurate thinking, we are moving towards proofreading to make it more correct, make it more comprehensible to the reader, and then comes directly the submission or the publishing stage. So keep in mind, for job interviews, that is a task which has been given to you all. We would not be going through all the stages. That is, we have stages such as pre-writing thinking stage, we have drafting right stage, we have revising make it better stage, proofreading make it correct stage, evaluating and publishing. These are the stages that we typically follow as a writing process, and these are the important 6 stages. So it's important in essay writing or during the job interview where your written communication is tested on, where your job offer can be based on your written communication. Maybe one of your interview round is your written communication round. You just have to follow 3 steps, and that's the good news. So the first step is your pre-writing or your thinking stage. And then after pre-writing, it is your proofreading stage. And then we have publishing or submission. So in your case, for job interview, it is submission stage. Pre-writing thinking stage, the first one, proofreading stage, and then we have the submission stage. So please ensure that we follow these guidelines in order to get your task up, which is on accepted lines, and with the limited time being allocated to you all. Moving on to further understand and get this. So just going back to understand this little more in detail. Decide on a topic to write about, brainstorm the ideas about the subject, do your research, is what your first stage talks about. Drafting, that is the second stage. Put the information you researched into your own words. Write the sentences and paragraphs even if they are not perfect. Read what you have written and judge if it says what you mean. Show it to others and ask for suggestions. That is your second stage. Third stage, read what you have written again. Think about what others said about it. Rearrange words or sentences. Take out or add parts. Replace overused or unclear words. Read your writing aloud to be sure it flows smoothly. Okay, so moving on to the next stage after revising to make it better, proofreading to make it correct. Be sure all the sentences are complete. Correct spelling, capitalization and punctuation. Change words that are not used correctly. Have someone check your work. That is how we will consult, almost in the stage of getting a professional evaluator in case your work wants to be professionally accepted or published. So get this clear understanding. And then we have the next thing to keep in mind: change words that are not used correctly. So be mindful that the choice of word plays a complete important role, and how I do it is something I can only be certainly sure of during the drafting stage itself. So have someone check your work, recopy it correctly and neatly. So it's important that I copy the work and I copy it neatly and correctly. The next stage, publishing. Share the finished product, that is, read your writing aloud to a group, create a book of your work, send a copy to a friend or relative. And then we have the other thing to keep in mind, which is most important, is put your writing on display. And how do I do this? Maybe now these days we have a lot of opportunities through social media, where we can certainly get our text up. And what we can do is, getting not just the text up, but also accepting the fact that your text would be recognized, your text would be accepted and be evaluated too. So keep your text up on social media and get this clearer, much clearer in terms of being evaluated at the initial stages itself. So when we know that the stages are being accepted and your evaluation process is being started almost, so see to that we follow the stages what we have just mentioned on. Moving on, same thing which has been just put in the slide to quickly give you information and make it more handy and presentable. So the writing process has 6 stages, where we pre-write the information, that is the thinking process, where we compose, that is we draft, then we evaluate, we revise the information, we edit and then we publish. So let's remember all this through a help of an acronym. So what's happening? We have pre-write, then we have draft, then we revise, and then we edit, we evaluate, and then we publish. So it's PD, REEP. So what's happening here? It's pre-write, draft, revise, editing, evaluating and publishing. So let me make a note of it just to help you better understand this acronym. So I can remember with the help of these words, where I pre-write and think about the information, I draft the information, I revise the document, I edit the information, I then evaluate, maybe I get in a second person to evaluate, and then we have the publishing stage. Okay, so P D R E, and then we have again a E, then we have a P again. You can also remember this. PDREEP. Once again, PDREEP, that is pre-write, draft, revise, edit, evaluate and publish the information. So, little understanding about the different types of writing, that is expository writing, writing in which author's purpose is to inform or explain the subject to the reader, that is this category of writing often equipped with the facts. Let us look at the slide to have a little better understanding. So, what is happening in expository writing is, basically as a writer, I am giving out lot of facts, I am giving out lot of information, and that information is being either updated, communicated for the first time through this writer to the audience level. And the other thing to remember is the fact that as a writer, I can be an expository writer, that is where I expose the information in control, and then we can certainly look about the fact that the information is being accepted. So, expository writing usually explains something in a process. Then moving on, persuasive writing. So, what is happening in persuasive writing is writing that states the opinion of the writer. So, basically persuasive writing is equipped with reasons, arguments and justifications. So, in general, all I am supposed to do is give out reasons, arguments or justifications in case I am persuading or convincing the reader. Narrative writing is an art to describe a story. Author places himself as a character and narrates you the story. Example: novels, short stories, poetry, narrative writing, short stories and poetry. So, narrative writing has characters and dialogues in it. Narrative writing often has situations like disputes, conflicts, actions, motivational events, problems and their solutions. So, see to that we follow something similar, and we go ahead and talk about lot of motivational events or problems to this. Okay. And then we have descriptive writing. Descriptive writing is used to create a vivid picture of an idea, place or a person. It is much like painting with words. It is making it more imaginative and more presentable. So, how you are supposed to do is keep in mind the descriptive writing. The author will not just say the vampire killed his lover, but the red-eyed bloody vampire flushed his rusty teeth into the soft skin of his lover and ended his life. So, it is not a direct statement that comes in, but basically you beat around the bush and you make it more acceptable to the person, so that the person who is reading will sound good enough. Yeah. And then we have moving on to the next one. So, how one can improve his or her writing skills, that is There are many ways one can improve his or her writing skills, that is daily diary writing may improve your writing skill as well as memory as you describe how you have spent the day. So, in this scenario all your tenses can be used and all your tenses can be considered and taken into account. Choosing very ordinary topics and writing on them may improve your writing skill as well as your creative skills. Read a passage from a book and then try to reproduce it in your own words. That is, read a good writer well and note his or her style, then try to copy their style. So, I would recommend make a note of these instructions so that you can understand the fact that we all are supposed to make our writing more improved and better understood as well. Okay, so just make a note of these 4 pointers to make your communication effective and through writing. So, how one can improve his or her writing? These are 2 types of basic principles, that is read, read, read and write, write and write. So, let us do a quick recap before we actually conclude the program of the day today. And this is something to go back and do a revision as such. So, we spoke about the stages of the basic steps of writing, that is we spoke on this acronym PDREEP: pre-write, draft, revise, edit, evaluate, publishing. Every stage is interlinked. Most important stages are is your pre-write stage, is your editing stage, evaluating stage as well to make it effective. And then we spoke about the different types of writing, that is expository writing, narrative writing, free writing and essay writing. Probably in all scenarios you might end up using essay writing very common at university, in colleges or maybe during your interview process too. So, see to that essay writing follows a structure, that is there is a time limitation, there is a word limitation as well. Ensure that you have introduction as part of your start of the essay, then we have body of the paragraph, then we conclude the essay with a topic. And then to talk about the essay writing, like we said, the word limit and the word count. Lot of interviews gauge you on your written communication skills, because at workplace you will be asked to either do a report writing, to devise a strategy, to maybe share an opinion, share an information, to write information to customers and clients. So, it is important that we have the standards of writing maintained, not just to get a job but also to retain a job. Now, let us conclude the topic. The following consecutive videos again would be followed with more writing effectiveness, how to derive learning from getting these writing skills up, and how do I convey my message effectively, and how do my writing get more accepted. So, only 2 principal key to remember to improve your writing skills are just like about 3 words in one phrase. You are supposed to read a lot, read everything which is seen, visible, and make it sound more good, and then start writing every day so that you can have a document to go back and check in terms of the reference, whether how have you been doing from from the day you started to day that you are at. So, this brings to the end of the topic for today, that is effectiveness and the different steps that we have seen in writing skills. See to that you go back, you practice, you put in your little bit of thoughts, and writing is one of the most important productive skill apart from speaking. You can actually create that right impressions, because writing can always be with you or it can go against you, because we have written document as a proof. So, happy learning. If you have any specific questions, do drop into the comment box below. We will be happy to assist you on this. Thank you for watching.